Hello guys and welcome to another edition of Rage Against the Dice. Today we're taking a look at my Gaslands garage. Now a lot of people have been asking, are you guys still covering Gaslands? Are you playing it? Are you still converting it? Are you painting up? Yada 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 yada. All the questions I would have on a YouTube channel that I followed specifically for Gaslands. And then they stopped doing Gaslands. Well, I'm still collecting cars. I'm still converting them up. I'm still playing mainly with my two boys. It is a game that we're still very passionate about. It's just like with Carnivale, like with everything really. If I just listed all the games we didn't have time to play. Yeah, so like most of the other content on the channel, we do love playing these games and we still do play them, but filming them is very different. If you own a YouTube channel and you film battle reports, you'll know yourself that a 2-hour game will actually take closer to 4 hours sometimes, with a lot of the setting up and things like that you have to do and a lot of the stopping for shots and stuff like that. So it's not that we haven't been playing the game, it's just that we haven't had time to film any games. But like a lot of the other content that's coming back to our channel, we're trying to make the time for it. I mean, we're adults and we're adulting. Nate and myself have children. Alan is a child. We all have full-time jobs. So we fit in where we can. But I really want to make a conscious effort to give you guys who subscribe for certain reasons the videos that you actually wanted to see originally. It'll bring a couple of the lapsed viewers back, and it'll get us some new guys who are passionate about the games we're passionate about. That nearly 2-minute rant about why we haven't done any Gasland videos aside, here's a look at my Gaslands cars. Now, these are all my specific cars. Both of my sons have a toy box each full of cars that are either bought for Gaslands or in various stages of converting or painting. We may do videos on them at a later point, and I am excited to pick myself up a copy of 1.5 Rules and dive right into it. But for now, we're just going to have a look. So the first two models we're going to look at are my two bikers. Now we'll look at them together because they are both from WordForge Games. I believe that's where I got them from anyway. And they're both for a game called Devil's Run 666. They're really, really nice. They're resin and they were a decent scale and really fun to paint. The bikes themselves have got a lot of detail on for their size. And then we've got this car that goes with them as well. Now these are the main vehicles I run. And again, this is resin. It was really, really quick and fun to paint. It wasn't that expensive either. I think for the whole thing it was less than 20 quid. And I'm happy enough with that. So I use them mainly when I'm playing. I've got a few more bikers to build up, but they need to go on bases because the size is slightly smaller. If you ever go back to my old Gaslands content, you'll see when we unbox the Ramshackle game stuff. That's where they came from. So the next car we're actually going to look at is this bad boy here. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Kev, you haven't done anything with that. It's just a Hot Wheels car. And you're right. You're absolutely 100% correct. I haven't done anything with this, and I don't know if I'm going to. The reason being is I picked this up in a clearance bin at the Entertainer, which is a kids' toy shop in the UK. And it's a Hot Wheels car, so I'm not sure I'd be able to get it again if I decided to convert it up, and I really, really like the look and everything of this. So I decided to keep it, and I use it exclusively if we're playing games where it's just racing and there's no shooting. Like if I'm getting new people into the game and they're younger, I tend to just start with the racing side of things till they get the templates down, and then we move on. So that's why I've done nothing with that one. And now this is a Batmobile, and it's exactly the same. I don't want to damage it because it's a Batmobile. And again, this one tends to get used exclusively for racing. Now, this car here, I actually entered a YouTube competition where, post in the comments down below, and I won this. And yeah, it's really, really nice car. It's a fantastic car, and my oldest loves using it. It's got like a las gun barrel for there shooting out, and then it's got these blades on the front. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I do feel really bad, but I cannot for the life of me remember which YouTube channel it was I entered this competition. So if you're watching this and you recognize it and you're like, hey, that's my car, I remember you entering that competition, either drop me a message on Facebook because you still have my details, or pop your channel name in the description, in the comments below, and I'll put it in the description so they can check out your channel, check out your fantastic work. And again, it's just because I've not been binging on Gaslands content, otherwise I would remember the name of that channel. So the next one we're going to look at here is clearly one I haven't painted. Now again, it's a cheap car. I think I picked it up in somewhere like Wilkinson's or somewhere like that, and it was, I think I bought a set of 4 cars for like £3 or £4. It wasn't expensive at all. And it's absolutely filled to the brim with armour and guns on the side, turrets, and a little gun turret guy on the back. And all the bits from this came from Ramshackle Games again. I would say all in all, it didn't cost that much to build. It's a nice little car, and it's just that I've not got around to building it. So we're going to look at a couple more that are the same, and then we'll start looking at some of the painted ones and some that are a bit more. So again, this is a cheap car. This one I know I got from Poundland, which is a shop in the UK, so clearly it cost £1. And it's a really, really nice car, and you will see that this particular chassis pops up 3 or 4 times. And if you look at all my son's stuff, it pops up a lot more than that, because it's a gorgeous little designed car, and they're super cheap. So once again, I stuck a little turret on the top, I stuck a ram on the front, and then a little bit of armour just there to protect the engine itself. I don't know why, I just thought it looked good at the time. Now as you can see, the window has this little mesh on. What I did was I bought a T-strainer from a local hardware store. I think it cost me 75p, and I chopped the chain bit out, and then I took the car apart. I put that in, and then I put the middle bit of the car back together, and it just kind of formed around it like that. So it had this nice little mesh design, which gives it a more Mad Max feel. Now this one, I absolutely love this car, but it's ridiculously impractical. Look at that. You could just headshot the drivers. It's got a little launcher at the back, which I tend to use for oil slicks and things like that. It's got a machine gun on the front. Then it's got an armor plate on there just because. I just want something different. Now, this is another Hot Wheels car. Again, I picked this up from a clearance bin. One of the things you will notice a lot as we're talking about these cars is I pick up a lot of my cars from things like clearance bins and places like that. So I'm going to butcher them anyway. I don't want to spend like huge chunks of money on it. That being said, there are a couple of cars that I've spent, £10 on a single car, and I'm happy enough to do that because I like that particular car. But anyway, we'll move on to. So the next one is, you will notice there's a series of cars that I've got here that all have the same motif. They're very rusty, they've got lots of dry blood on them, and they have a lot of barbed wire wrapped around them. Now they're all from one sponsor. And maybe in the comments you can let me know which sponsor you think it is. But it's all a very rusty aesthetic. So I'm going to talk you through this. Again, the car was dirt cheap. It was, I think, from B&M, which is a shop again in the UK. I am product placementing a lot of shops, but just to let you know where I got it, I think the car was about £150. Maybe it was £2. It came in a pack of 2. I can't remember, but yeah, it was a cheap car anyway. Now, as you can see here, it's got this kind of gun thing on the side, which is actually a rivet gun, and that comes from the Goliath set of Necromunda. You can pick them up from bits and kits and places like that, or if you've got a load lying around your bitbox like I have, you can use them for that. Now the front ram, I wanted something that looked really prisony and really sort of, it could smash the life out of you. So the rivets are actually like the iron bars, they're actually from the Cities of Death set. Which is an old Games Workshop scenery set. I still think you can buy them separately, maybe. But yeah, and they're just butchered up, and you will see them across these prison. I've ruined it. Yeah, across the prison cars a lot. And then again, the spike on the front is from one of those. I did have to cut the tip off because it was quite sharp. And then the barbed wire actually came from an Army Paint starter set. I say I'm a lot at the minute. But yeah, so it was a starter set where you got clippers, glue, sand, and then for some reason they just gave you a thing of barbed wire, but it is the same barbed wire that they sell on Army Painter's website or any of the number of other fantastic local stores that sell Army Painter stuff. So you can pick up a big roll of it pretty cheap. And as I said, I'm going to look through the rest of them now because they're all of a similar feel. Now, again, there's that chassis we were talking about before. It's got an oak pistol chopped to stick up there. It's got some little bits. Now, these little bits here, I use these quite a lot. If you ever had the old fantasy movement trays, you had like a modular one that you could cut into size. Now I cut a load of them into little squares so I could use them for basing up Hail Caesar models. Yeah, and so I was left over with a load, so I've started making those into little bits of armour. As you can see across the wheels, I've got some orc and necromundary bits as like wheel covers. This is from one of the Lizard Men sets. I just wanted to make a ram that looked something different. Again, you can see the barbed wire strewn across it. There's another plate to protect the driver, and then as you can see here, that's just a little plate from a Goliath set. So a lot of these you'll see in my stuff is just rooting around my bitbox. This one here, again, it was a dirt cheap car. I think I picked it up from a charity shop for about 50p. It's got another orc gun coming out the front window, clearly practical, but your driver's on this side, so it's fine. It's got a ram there, which is obviously a part of a space, Chaos Space Marine backpack. It's got some little bits on there, and then it's got these two chunky door bits here, which, as said, is the driver will get in, and then these are welded on. If the driver survives, they force them off afterwards, but most of the time the driver doesn't survive. Yeah, and you can see I've wrapped barbed wire around it, and they use that when ramming bikers and things like that. So these kind of rusted up cars all have a similar motif. Now, this is again part of that same one. You can see they're numbered, so I've got enough of them to make, I think I've got 10 of them in total, but some of them aren't painted up yet. It's got a little orky thing off the biker set on the front. Again, it's got the barbed wire. It's got these little missile launchers, which came from Project Z. I think it's the female set, or it could be the soldier set, both of which come with rocket launchers. I bought a lot of both, so I'm not sure. It's got caltraps at the back, which just fall off into the road. Now, these actually came from Hail Caesar. They come with the Roman scorpions to go in front. I've got loads of these, so I just use them for little bits. And then it's got a little spike at the bottom, which, as you can see, is a metal sword that I actually got from a Soda Pop model, but I wasn't that big a fan of the Soda Pop games, so I ended up using it. Now, this one, again, this is a very, very cheap car. This is, when you buy those packs of cars from like eBay and things like that, and you get about 50 cars for £2. This was one of them, and we bought a big stack of them. And again, I went mental, really, really sort of rusty with this. The spikes, again, are from the same thing as the other one, the Hail Caesar stuff. You've got a gun on the side, which I think came from 40k, but I couldn't be 100% sure. Might be Necromunda, it could be anything. It was from my bitbox and it's been there for years. There's a plate at the side. You can see where I've started to drill bullet holes. Again, there's barbed wire. This one's got barbed wire wrapped around the screen. There's two little guns at the front, which were from Project Z. And then at the back, there's this, which again is from Lizardman or Seraphim model, which I just had lying around in my bitbox, and it was purely just to give that aesthetic that they've grabbed anything they can and bunged it together. Now, the last painted up one I've got of these so far is this guy here. You can see I've made a kind of makeshift like protection for this side, and it's wrapped in barbed wire. It's got boosters on the back. They could also be used for oil spillers and things like that. It's got loads of little spike rams on the front. You'll notice again that that's a motif with this particular sponsor and this crew. And then it's got a big gun, which I think actually came from a Drop Zone Shaltari model, one of the really cool walkers. And then it's got another gun at the front there. So yeah, that's kind of this team. And as I said, I think I've got 6 of them painted, and I've got 10 of them in total. Next one we're going to look at is just a very basic Jeep. I just was trying to practice doing camo and stuff like that, so I've done no converting at all to this. I was trying to get that kind of rust effect there. I hope it looks okay. Yeah, if you guys don't think so, that's fine. But yeah, then we've got this car I made specifically for Alan, and of course there is a certain shape and colour and feel to it. It's very on the nose, which is how he likes it. It's got some rust, of course, at the bottom. I think this is a Hot Wheels car again. Yes, it is. Now, I oddly remember where I got this one. It's very odd and specific that I remember this. But we were in a British store that sells frozen goods called Heron. And for whatever reason, they had just a big basket full of Hot Wheels cars. And I think they were £1.50 each. And we picked up about 30 cars in total, me and the two boys. We only originally went in there to get a Dr. Pepper. So it was a very costly endeavour, but we got a load of good cars out of it. And I really liked the shape of this one. And Alan liked the car, so we made it look a bit rude just because, you know, I did just say near the start of the video we're adults, but we actually act like children. So there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed it up a little bit for you because you're just looking at cars now. But this, again, is one of those cheap cars that I was talking about. It's got a Space Wolf decal from a drop pod stuck across the window. It's got spikes all down one side used for ramming, and then it's just painted very, very quickly. As you can see, my painting standard would be tabletop at best, especially for these because they weren't ever really meant to look gorgeous. Now, I've got 2 or 3 of this car. It's a Hot Wheels car and it's really, really cool. I've done very little converting to any of them. This is, in fact, the only one I've painted up at this stage, and it's just got a couple of little things protecting the windows at the sides. Again, this is a car I use mainly for racing, but I really, really like this car. I did once joke that if anybody wanted to send me any of these, I would gladly take them, and we actually did get a couple sent over, so a big shout out to the people who sent me some of these, and that's how I've got so many extra than the couple I initially bought. Now, we've only got a few cars left, so we'll have a look at those, and then, yeah, well, I'll tell you where we're going next. So this next car is another cheap car, and again, it's just got a couple of little plates on. It was mainly designed for racing, and I went with like a metallic purple colour because I wasn't sure that Vince would get into it at first, so I thought if I paint it purple, then he's probably going to like it, and then he'll play the game and he'll be like, hey, I like this game, it's a good game. And that's essentially what happened. He went, ooh, purple car, I'll play. And then from there, he went on to really enjoying the game. So we've come to the end almost of the painted ones. There's only 2 more left. This one, again, is that same chassis we were talking about before, because I've got so many where I've converted the crap out of it. This one I wanted as just a black car. I wanted it to be as black as possible, a little bit of rusting and stuff like that, but that was it. And that's what this car would look like unconverted. I love it. I really do. It's got such a nice little design, and they're so cheap you can just buy loads of them and do what you want. And again, this is similar. Now, this one I sprayed orange. No, it came orange, sorry. Then I wrapped it oddly in string and I sprayed it black, and that was all I've done to it. And of course I've done the metal and stuff, but I mean in terms of converting or anything like that, it was just a normal car. Again, when I was first getting my boys into it, I wanted them to just see the cars and want to race them around a track, and then I could add the weapons in later. As it turned out, they really liked the weapons side of it. It should really make me worry about my children, but I don't. So this one, again, is just a really, really nice car. As you can clearly see, this has had nothing done to it except spray and yellow and had a wash on. I don't know whether I want to add stuff to this afterwards. I think I'm going to paint it up and see how I feel. Maybe paint up the accessories and then stick them on after. It's not usually how I would do it, as you've seen. But because I like this car on its own, I thought it was a really, really nice car. It's a Hot Wheels one. It's one that I picked up when I was talking about earlier in the set where I grabbed, 30 cars for $150 each or whatever it was, something stupid like that. And I liked it, but now I'm looking at it, it's maybe because I sprayed it yellow and then put an orange wash on it. But it doesn't scream out at me as much as it used to, so maybe I will add some stuff to it. And then we'll come into, this is probably both my favourite and the stupidest. Now, this was made by my youngest son, Parker. His first time using glue and stuff, I had to stick the machine guns on for him. He just told me where. But we had from an old Dark Ages game, well, Dark Ages still exists, but we had a load of stuff that we got sent for free as promo stuff, and we just butchered it up because we didn't like the look of the game. I do apologise, and normally when we get sent promo stuff, we'll at least do a video on it or something like that, but it was really horrible, and we couldn't have said anything good about the models, So we didn't. We offered to send them back, and they said it's fine, and so we butchered them for other things. It is what it is. We stuck a couple of them there. His thinking for at the time 3-year-old was pretty good, which is that if the cars tried to bang in the sides, it'd hit them instead. And then he put this little this little chainsaw thing on the front. And again, I did a lot of the gluing. I'm not letting a 3-year-old play with glue, but he told me where he wanted stuff. And that's the same with these two cars here. So I'm going to look them together. They're just cheap cars. I think, again, they came in a set of 2. That's a plasma pistol from a Goliath model, which should in some way tell you how many Goliaths I have that I can be butchering at plasma pistols like that. And again, he's put those rams on the side and a little plate on the back. And we've done nothing with them. They've been sprayed grey and had a wash. I think he intended we were going to paint them in camo to match the truck, but I don't know whether that'll come to fruition. He kind of got bored of the painting building side of it. He just likes racing the cars now. So as you can see, this is a mishmash of all different things, but it's got that same ram on the side to protect it. Now we're down to just 2 cars now, and these are some of the more recent ones I've done. So this is a lot of bits from Ramshackle. I wanted a really heavily armoured fast car with a big turret on top, and this pretty much ticks all those boxes, I'm sure he'll agree. And that's it. It's a Hot Wheels car, as you can see. And then the last one, again, is a Hot Wheels car. And most of those Hot Wheels came from the big 30-odd cars that we bought, as I told you about. It's got a little guy in the back. Oh, it's got a ram on the front. It's got this cool little design. I originally wanted to put something in there, but I couldn't think what I wanted to build. I was too indecisive, so I just sprayed it up black. It's got a couple of plates on it. But yeah, so that's it so far. And then as you can see in the background here, I carry all of my cars in this, and it's double-sided, and it just opens up and all the cars fit in, and then it's got a little handle, and I take it there. So that's my garage thus far. Like you guys, I've got a load of stuff that are still waiting in a box that I don't know what I'm going to do with yet. And we're talking a stacking box. There's maybe 100 cars in there combined over me and my 2 boys, and we will do stuff with them eventually. But this is where we're at with Gaslands at the moment. So the main question people were asking was whether Gaslands was coming back to the channel, and yes, clearly it is. But also in terms of gameplay, Gaslands is going to be on the channel in that way. It may be something that takes a month or so to come to fruition, because we're currently heavily doing bot wars. We're heavily covering the 2000 AD stuff. We've got Rumble Slam coming back, so we're going to phase stuff in slowly. I know Carnivale is coming back to the channel in a big way, but yes, I'm going to order the 1.5 rulebook, or whatever it's called, if it's even out yet. That's how out of the loop I am. As soon as I get paid, and I'm going to order that, and we're going to have a look at the rulebook. And then from there, we're going to move on and we're going to start playing some games and things like that. So, guys, what did you think of my garage thus far? If you guys have got a stupidly large amount of cars that you're just struggling to find what you want to do with them, let me know in the comments. If you've actually got suggestions for some of my cars, drop them in the comments. And obviously, you saw there was a lot of them that weren't painted. If you saw one of the cars that you really, really like the look of, like this guy, for instance, and you think, hey, I know how I think you should paint that, let us know. And, you know, if it's not ridiculous. Oh, I've got a pink car with a purple tip, so ridiculous kind of falls into our wheelhouse. But just let us know what you think. But anyway, guys, like, subscribe, share, definitely share. If you've got friends who are into Gaslands, or you're watching one of our other videos and you think, I've got a friend who would really like this, send the video to them, ask them to give it a like and a subscribe and share across. We're going to build the channel. We're going to get more content out. You guys are going to help with that. And that's by liking, subscribing, leaving us a comment. But anyway, guys, enough of the hard sell, social media beg. Thank you very much for watching, and pray the dice gods and hope they smile upon you. Take care.